Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
1. Introduction. Donald Trump's trade policy, known as America First, shows a big change from how the United States handled trade in the past. This approach puts the needs of American workers, factories, farmers, and businesses first. It moves away from global trade agreements that were common after the Cold War. Instead, it focuses more on national interests and protecting industries inside the country. In this new way of thinking, tariffs, which are taxes on goods brought into the country, are very important. They are not just small tools. They are central to reaching goals for the economy and national safety. The main aim is to create a stronger trade policy. This policy hopes to help money stay in the country and improve factory output. At the same time, it aims to protect the nation's money and security. This policy marks a clear shift from older ideas about world trade. For many years, the United States supported open trade and agreements with many countries. Now the idea is to change the entire world trade system, even the one the United States helped build. People close to Donald Trump, like his new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, have said that these tariff policies have started to change how the United States deals with other countries in terms of money and trade. This suggests that the current use of tariffs is only the beginning. Many people wonder why the United States is putting high taxes on imports from countries that are its closest friends, as well as from rivals. They ask if there is a bigger plan behind these actions. This chapter will look into whether these trade steps are part of a larger plan to create a new global order. This new order would change how countries trade and work together. This possible new system might divide countries into three main groups based on their trade relationships. These groups are sometimes called green, yellow, and red. Countries in the green group could get special benefits. For example, they might have low tariffs on their goods, receive military protection from the United States, and have good access to the US dollar for their money needs. Countries in the yellow or red groups would not receive these same benefits. This idea points to a clear way for the United States to organize its trade and security ties with other nations. Understanding this system is key to understanding the bigger plan that might be in motion. 2. The team and the problem. Donald Trump's team has new people in important economic roles. One person is Scott Bessent. He is the new Treasury Secretary. Mr. Bessent used to manage money for large companies. He also taught about economic history at a university. Another key person is Stephen Murren. He is Trump's top economic advisor. Mr. Murren has a background in business and money management. He recently wrote a paper about how to change the world's trade system. Both Mr. Bessent and Mr. Murren share a big worry for the United States. This worry is called de-industrialization. This means that the country has lost many of its factories and manufacturing jobs. For many years, the United States was a very strong country in making things. If we look back to the 1950s, about 28% of all the goods and services the country produced came from its factories. This showed how much the U.S. made. However, this has changed greatly over time. Today, the amount of goods made in U.S. factories has dropped a lot. Now, it is only about 10% of the country's total output. This long-term change shows a clear shift away from manufacturing in America. Donald Trump's team believes this loss of factories is a very serious problem for the nation. There are two main reasons why they think this is so important. First, losing these factory jobs has greatly hurt many towns and cities across America. These places are often called the industrial heartland. When factories close, people lose their jobs and local economies suffer. Many people in these areas voted for Donald Trump because they want to see these jobs come back. So bringing manufacturing back helps American workers and improves the economy in these regions. Second, de-industrialization is a big concern for national security. When the United States makes fewer essential goods, it can become weaker compared to other powerful countries. For example, China has become a very strong manufacturing nation. In times of war, a country needs many factories and skilled workers to quickly make military equipment and supplies. This is called rapid militarization. The Trump team worries that America's ability to produce these important items, and the knowledge needed to do so, is now far behind that of other big powers, especially China. As an example, one company in China built more commercial ships last year alone than all of America has produced since the end of World War II. This difference in manufacturing power puts the United States at a massive disadvantage. Therefore, Trump's team believes it is very important to make the United States a manufacturing powerhouse again. They want America to be strong in making goods, just like it was many years ago, to protect American jobs, the economy, and the country's safety. This big goal is central to their future plans. 3. Past economic rules, Bretton Woods. The United States took a leading role in shaping the world's economic rules after World War II. This new system was called Bretton Woods. It was created at a meeting in the United States in 1944. It aimed to bring stability after the war and lasted until 1973. This period included agreements for both money and security, designing a new global order. For countries that joined this system, there were three main parts. First, they linked their money to the US dollar, which was linked to gold. This made the value of their money stable and predictable, helping international trade grow. Second, these countries relied on the United States for military protection. This often meant hosting U.S. military bases. The U.S. provided security, crucial in a world facing new challenges and the rise of communism. Third, the United States actively helped other countries rebuild their industries, especially in Europe and Japan. The U.S. offered financial aid, like the Marshall Plan, to get their factories and economies working again. The U.S. also opened its large consumer market to goods from these recovering countries. At the same time, it allowed these nations to protect their own new industries from strong U.S. companies as they recovered. This was a unique approach to help allies become strong partners. The United States gained many benefits from this system. One big advantage was gaining strong friends and allies. These relationships were important in the global fight against communism. By helping other countries become richer, The U.S. also helped its own industries find new markets for their products, which made the U.S. richer. Most importantly, the Bretton Woods system made the U.S. dollar the world's main money. This gave the U.S. a special advantage, allowing it to spend more internationally than it earned without major money problems, as countries needed U.S. dollars for trade and reserves. However, this system faced a major challenge known as the Griffin dilemma. As the world economy grew, more U.S. dollars were needed for trade and reserves. But the amount of gold backing U.S. dollars was not growing as fast. This created a difficult problem. The U.S. had to choose: either print more dollars, making the gold link weaker, or stop creating new dollars, which would slow global economic growth. In 1971, the U.S. President, Richard Nixon, announced that the U.S. would no longer link the dollar to gold. This decision marked the end of the Bretton Woods system and led to a time of change for the world economy. 4. Past economic rules, the new way. After the Bretton Woods system ended, a new period began in the early 1980s. This time was called the Neoliberal World Order. It changed how countries traded and handled money. This new order had 4 main parts. First, taxes on imported goods, called tariffs, became lower. Second, it was easier for money and businesses to move between countries. Third, the value of different countries' money was no longer fixed. It could change freely. Fourth, the United States still promised to keep countries safe as long as they worked well with the U.S. Unlike the Bretton Woods system, there was no formal rule that countries had to use the U.S. dollar, but most countries still used it. This was because the U.S. dollar was the easiest and most trusted money to use for world trade. Countries outside the U.S. wanted to earn U.S. dollars. They did this by selling many goods to the U.S. They also made it harder to buy goods from the U.S. Even though people talked about free trade, some poorer countries could even have higher tariffs against the U.S. The U.S. hoped that by helping other countries get richer, they would become better friends. This had worked before with countries like Germany and Japan. In this new system, many more countries became green countries, meaning they had good trade relations with the U.S. If a country followed the rules of the World Trade Organization, it could sell its goods to the big U.S. market. It could also use the U.S. dollar banking system. As an extra benefit, the U.S. Navy helped protect ships all over the world. This seemed like a very good deal for many nations. But the U.S. also gained a lot. Because money values could change freely, the U.S. dollar became even stronger. People around the world wanted to hold U.S. dollars. This strong dollar let the U.S. pay for its large military all over the world. It could do this even as its economy became smaller compared to other countries. The strong dollar also made many Americans generally richer. However, this system also brought problems for the United States. A strong dollar made it very costly to make goods in the U.S. This caused many factory jobs to move to other countries. This was especially true after China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, which some called the China shock. Also, the strong dollar mostly helped people who already had a lot of money. This made the gap between rich and poor people wider. By 2016, more people were unequal and many factory towns were struggling. These problems helped Donald Trump get elected. His first actions on trade showed that the old ideas about free trade were changing. 5. Recent changes and problems. Donald Trump's first time as president brought big changes to global trade. His America First policy was very different from how the United States had handled trade before. This new approach put American workers, factories, and businesses first. Tariffs, which are taxes on goods from other countries, became a main tool for his team. They believed these tariffs would help American companies and protect the country's economic safety, marking a clear change from older ways of thinking about trade. One of the biggest trade issues was with China. President Trump put higher tariffs on many Chinese goods, but China also put higher taxes on American goods in return. This started a trade war between the two nations. Even with these new tariffs, American factory jobs continued to move away from the United States. The goal was to bring these jobs back, but the numbers did not change much. China's own large manufacturing industries also continued to grow stronger during this time, showing that the tariffs did not stop this trend. The problem of de-industrialization, which means losing factory jobs and production, did not stop. This was a big concern for Donald Trump's team. They saw it as a threat to American jobs and the country's ability to make important goods. They worried about the United States falling behind other powerful nations, especially China, in terms of industrial power, which could affect national safety. After President Trump's first term, other attempts were made to fix these problems. For example, the government spent a lot of money to help build new factories in the United States. This was a way to make American industries stronger and bring production back home. Many new factories were indeed built. However, this also led to the government spending much more money than it earned, creating a very high deficit. Because of these past experiences, Donald Trump's team now believes that the old ways of global trade no longer work well for the United States. They feel that the system, which was set up many years ago, has caused factory jobs to leave the country too quickly and created other problems. They see this as a serious problem for national safety and believe a new approach is necessary. This strong belief sets the stage for understanding their new and bigger plan for how the world should trade. 6. A new global plan starts. Donald Trump's team has a big plan for the world economy. This plan is very different from past ideas about how countries should trade. The team, which includes important people like Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, and Stephen Murrin, a top economic advisor, wants to change how countries deal with each other. They believe the old ways no longer serve the United States well. There are two main goals for this new global plan. The first goal is to bring many factory jobs back to the United States. For many years, manufacturing jobs have moved to other countries. The team sees this as a big problem, not just for jobs but also for the country's safety. They want the United States to become a strong manufacturing nation again, like it was in the past. The second goal is to keep the US dollar as the world's most important money. They believe that losing the dollar's special status would greatly reduce America's power and wealth around the globe. Many economic experts think these two goals are very hard to achieve at the same time. They often say that making American products cheaper to make, which helps bring back factories, can also make the US dollar weaker. A weaker dollar might then make it less important for other countries to use. However, Trump's economic advisors like Stephen Murren have written that it is possible to reach both goals. They suggest a new approach that allows the United States to have both a strong manufacturing base and a strong global currency. The first step of this new plan is called tariff chaos. This means putting very high taxes on goods that come into the United States. These taxes are put on products from many countries, including those that are considered friends and those that are rivals. The team believes this step is important to show that the United States is serious about changing trade rules. It also helps to gain a stronger position for future talks with other nations. Scott Bessent has openly stated that these tariffs are used as a tool for negotiating. Stephen Murren also explained that these strong policies would be continued until the tariffs have created enough power for new agreements. So, the current high tariffs are not meant to be the final state of trade. Instead, they are just the start of a much bigger plan. The aim is to create leverage, meaning a strong bargaining position, so that the United States can push other nations to agree to a new system. This new system would help bring back American factories and keep the dollar strong as the world's main currency. This is a big change from the global trade systems that have been in place for many decades. 7. The new plan steps. The new plan has 3 main steps. The first step, tariff chaos, sets the stage by using high taxes on imported goods to gain a strong position for talks. This phase creates pressure on other countries. The second step is called reciprocal tariffs. The goal of this step is to make trade fair for everyone. Donald Trump's team believes that the United States has a very special position in trade. They think that other countries need to sell their goods to the U.S. market. Because of this, the U.S. can put taxes on imports, and other countries will have to accept these taxes. They believe these taxes will make other countries want to agree to new trade rules. The team says that these tariffs will help make trade fair. This means trade will reward good ideas, safety, and clear rules, not unfair practices like low wages or stealing ideas. This second step aims to create a more balanced trading system for the long term. The third and final step is a new big agreement. It is called the Mar-a-Lago Accord. This agreement aims to change how money works around the world. The team wants the US dollar to become less strong. A weaker dollar would help American products sell better in other countries. This would also help bring factory jobs back to the United States. However, the plan also wants to keep the US dollar as the world's most important money. This is a difficult goal, as many experts think these two things cannot happen at the same time. Under the Mar-a-Lago Accord, countries might join this new system in different ways. For example, some countries might agree to link their money to the US dollar. If the US dollar becomes too strong, these countries would make their own money stronger against it. In return, these countries would get good access to the large US market. They would also get security help from the US. However, the US might ask these countries to pay for this security. This part of the plan could mean that the United States would have closer control over its allies. The team believes that all parts of global relations, military, economic, and political, are connected. They want to change these connections to help the American people. This new plan aims to fix problems like the loss of factory jobs while keeping the US dollar strong in the world. 8. What might happen next? Donald Trump's team believes the world's current trade rules do not help America enough. They think these rules are not good for the United States. This is the main lesson from their ideas. The team's plan has steps. First, they use current trade actions to get power. They put high taxes on goods from other countries. This is to make other countries want to talk. This part of the plan is called tariff chaos. It is happening now. Second, they want to set up fair trade rules. They call this reciprocal tariffs. This means if one country puts taxes on U.S. goods, the U.S. will do the same. They believe this will make trade equal for everyone. Third, they hope for a big money agreement. They call it the Mar-a-Lago Accord. This agreement would make the US dollar a little weaker, but it would still be the world's most important money. If countries join this new system, they might link their money to the US dollar. They might also pay the US for military help. In theory, this plan could help the United States. It could bring factory jobs back home. It could also keep the US dollar strong in the world. This is what the team hopes will happen, but there is a big question. Will other countries trust the United States enough to join this new system? The US has sometimes changed trade agreements in the past. It has also made threats to close friends. This makes trust hard to build. For countries to join, they would need to agree to many things. They would need to let their money value change against the dollar. They would also need to pay for U.S. military help. This would make them less independent. It would need a lot of trust from them. If other countries do not join, the United States might face a choice. It could lose the dollar's special place in the world. This would mean less wealth and power for the U.S. Or the U.S. could keep the dollar strong. But then, it would have to accept that other countries make many of its goods. It would rely on factories in places like Mexico, Europe, and Japan. Donald Trump's economic advisors see the world in a certain way. They believe the current system is not good for America. They think their plan is the best way forward. They will likely advise Donald Trump to continue with these steps in the future.